Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. So today we'll be discussing a new thing called as Java 8 features. So Java 8 is released 2014 and we can say it is a revolutionary change. I can write here released in 2014 and a revolutionary change. Revolutionary change. What do you mean by revolutionary change? That means you can think of why I'm saying revolutionary change, because a lot of and most good or very beautiful concepts are added which was never there in Java. That is what is called as functional programming. That is what is called as functional programming. Before Java 8, Java was not having any concept of functional programming. It is purely object oriented. But starting from Java 8, there is the concept of functional programming, and also it is very useful. So before deep dive into Java 8 feature, I would like to talk about functional programming. What do we mean by programming? Functional program. First of all, if anyone asks, Java is still object oriented or not? Yes, Java is absolutely object oriented. But now it from Java 8 onwards, it is having functional programming concepts or features. Okay, what is that? So in the functional programming, functions are first class citizens. Functions are first class citizens. That means more importance is given to functions. More importance is given to functions rather object. In object oriented like Java, we more focus on objects. In Java, we more focus on objects. We more focus on object. But in functional programming, the more focus is on functions. You know the functional programming, there is a language called as the Lisp, Python, etc. These are the functional programming. What else? We are saying functions are first class citizens and more importance is given to functions rather than object. Okay, so how it helps actually? If we use functional programming, it gives very less code, or we can say concise code. Concise means less code. Less. Suppose in object oriented programming, we want some functions or something to write. Actually, what is happening? We have to write a method. We have to write in the instructions or the lines of code inside that function, then method. We have to create the instances or objects, then call the methods. But if we use this functional programming, then we will be having less number lines of code. That means declaring function method separately, calling them in another place, right? That is not required. Inline we can write the functions. Inline we can write the functions, right? Then it is a, we can say it is a style of programming also. It is a style of programming. So functional programming is a different style of programming than object oriented. Functional programming is having different style of programming than object oriented. Okay, so Java is now from 8 onwards object oriented. That was always, plus functional concepts, functional programming concepts are added. So there are some principles, basically I will say some principles that any functional programming principles should follow. Principles that functional programming should follow. Okay, so first thing is, and another important point also I can highlight, more focus is given to write business functions, more focus is given to write business functions. What do you mean by this? That means we should focus only on writing the business logic requirement rather than maintaining the method and observing the method, overwriting, overloading, that is happening or not. We will just write the functions and how to use them. So first of all, what is the definition of functional programming? Now it is a kind of programming in which more importance is given to the functions rather than objects, right? And we will give more importance to writing business functions. And what is the benefit of functional programming? It gives very less and concise code. Okay, so now there are certain principles that is functional programming follows. So what is the principle? The first program is data and functions should be independent. Data and functions should be independent. Okay, data and functions to be independent. What do you mean by that? Let's see, I'm writing a program in Java, class A. Data means I'm talking about instance variables in Java. I will write private int A, comma, private int B. Okay, I will write a function public void, means in Java we say method. Then I will write then private int C. Then I will write C is equal to a plus B. Of course I have to initialize. C is equal to a plus B. I have to initialize. Okay, let B equal to 10, B equal to 20. C will be the result by default 0, right? What is here? What is the first rule saying? Data and functions should be independent. Can you say this method is same as function? Are they independent of data? No. This function is tightly coupled with the data members. In object oriented, data members and member methods are tightly coupled. Tightly coupled means, of course it will be tightly coupled because methods acts on data. Method acts on data. Suppose I am having one account class. This account class is having, suppose, balance. I am withdrawing, I am depositing, I am fund transferring. Whatever functions of methods I will do, that will work on the data, right? So in this, but functional programming says data and functions should be independent. What do you mean by that? Now if I will write the same thing in functional programming style, then I should write int like this, int add, then I will pass a comma b, then it will return a plus b. It will return a plus b. That means no global variable in, we can say, in functional programming. But if you think about the Java programming perspective, there is no instance variable here. It will act only on this type of variable which are being passed. That means it can be reusable at any places, not particular, just like here it is usable only to class A to add only A and B. It can be used in other places if it satisfies the requirement. Okay, so now we can see this function is nowhere related to its global data member, or we can say instance variables. If you draw one analogous or draw a comparison between Java object oriented and this functional oriented. Okay, for example, simplest example, I will give another example. Suppose I am having int sal equal to 10,000. Suppose I was to increment sal, I want to write a function increment sal. Then in object oriented, what to do? Sal is a global variable, so return sal plus, suppose I want to increase 5,000, suppose 500, right? But if I will write in functional programming, see, you can see this function is purely depending on this sal, that is a global variable, right? This tightly coupled. But if I want to write it in loosely coupled manner, so int inc sal, okay, I will just pass sal, then return sal plus 500. So what is this? This is nowhere related to this instance variable. We will just pass it and get the addition of 500. That means first principles of functional programming is saying data and functions should be independent, they should not be tightly coupled. But in object oriented programming, the data members and member methods are tightly coupled, because data member methods are designed to work on the member methods. The member methods are designed to work on the data members. That means each and every methods written in Java, it is to act upon the instance variables. That is what the object oriented concept is. That is what the object oriented concept is. Suppose you are having one employee class. Employee is having the instance variable like employee ID, employee name, its salary, its email ID, its address, right? You want to insert new employee. You are writing a method public void insert. What you are doing? You are initializing the instance variables, inserting into database or wherever. Suppose get employee, right? You are whatever the instance where employee ID is there, you are taking that and getting it retrieved. Update employee. Just like in object oriented programming, the member methods is designed to act or manipulate the instance variable or object variable. But in functional programming, it is not. Functional programming is saying data and functions should be independent, so that it is not tightly coupled to a particular variable, and it should be reused at multiple places of same kind of requirement. Okay, now we'll see the second concept. Second concept is saying avoid change or change of state of variables. Avoid change or state of variables. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? We have written here A, B, C. What is the state of C here? 0, because value is 0, and we are doing the add function. What is the value of C becoming? 30, right? Suppose I will write like this: A, B, C. I will write a function called as, oh my god, it got hang, I think. Okay, I will write a function called as public void input. Okay, or I will write a constructor called A. So inside the constructor, I will try to. So here we are having three variables. We are having one function which initializes A and B, and A value is 10, B value is 20, and public void add, which is adding two values, and it is C is equal to A plus B. C is equal to A plus B. So now when I will create object, what will happen? A is equal to new A, and whenever A is equal to new A, what are the values for A here? Now in this instance, or in this statement when execution, completed. A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to 0. Now I will call here A dot input, and whenever I will call A dot input, then now state of A becomes, sorry, here A is equal to 0, B is equal to 0, C is equal to 0. Now it becomes A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to again 0. But whenever I will call A dot add method, then what will happen? Then A is equal to 10, B is equal to 20, and C is equal to 30. That means each time the state of the object, that is the state of the instance variables, or you can say global data members, they are changing, right? But functional interface, what it says, avoid changes of state of variables. We should avoid the changes of state of variables. Okay, that means if I will write a function for add, and I will avoid writing input method, and I will write here A comma B, then suppose it is int, then return A plus B, like that. And suppose I am having a string variable, the string variable say S is equal to good morning, if I will change S is equal to good afternoon, then this is not functional programming. Rather, functional programming say declare another variable S1 is equal to good afternoon. That means whatever the change of the state of the variables, that should not be changed during a function call, when we call a function call. Okay, so this is the second step, which says avoid the changes of the state variables. And third point is also an important point, which says functions are the first class citizen, and hence we can assign a function to a variable, and we can pass functions as argument as well. We can assign a function to a variable, and we can pass functions as argument as well. That means I can write here int x is equal to function add, then I can write quotes over here. Also, if I am having a function add, and to this function also I can pass a function input, like this. Okay, so this describes the three important points of functional programming. First programming says functions are, first principle says data and functions should be independent, and second says avoid changes of the state of the variables, and third says we can assign a function to a variable, and we can pass functions as an argument as well, right? So these are called as the functional programming. So Java 8 introduces functional programming as part of the Java from Java 8 version. And what is the advantage of doing that? The advantage of doing that is it provides lesser and concise code, so we don't have to implement methods. We can directly write methods during the requirement. Okay, so Java 8s are having the following features. The first one is Lambda expression, which is a functional programming. Second, it introduces something called as functional interface, which is already one existing concept, but it is enhanced and new name given. And next one is default and static methods. Fourth one is, we can say, double colon operator. Already you know from C++, it's called as the scope resolution operator. It is used for method and constructor reference. Fifth one is stream API, which is used to work on the collections. Sixth one is optional class. Seventh one is date and time API. 5, 6, 7. Eighth one is there is something called as Nacron JavaScript engine, and some more. So we'll discuss one by one these features in details. So this completes it. So it is going to a multi-part series for completion of these features. So we are ending here the part 1. Thanks for watching the video. If you like the content and description of the video, please do like, subscribe and share. Thank you.